Holy cow, here we are, Break the Cage, Business Intensive. We are live for our Break the Cage Saturday morning broadcast. Welcome. We have all kinds of fun stuff and funny stuff happening today. First of all, we've had technical challenges running down the road like a river. I've had to reboot my computer twice, and I see that my face is a little out of sync with my audio, so I'm not sure how to fix that right this minute. We've been messing with it for a half an hour or so, and that's just one of those things. Our additional fun part is that our co-host, Yvette Dubel, is also on the road. Her husband had a call out, and so she's been out chasing demons with him this morning, fixing problems. Nevertheless, come hell or high water, we are here to talk about creatives getting paid. So, Yvette, here's say hello from the car there, Yvette.
Hello from the car, everybody.
So we are dedicated to bringing you this stuff today, and I'm excited. So today's the fifth of a series of Hangouts, and I think it is our last. We had planned to do 5. We had talked about doing a 6th, and we may end up doing that. But right now, we don't have it planned, and if we do, it'll be next Saturday, and you'll get notice in a couple of days. So today, we're going to summarize, and we're going to talk about how to keep it flowing, because, you know, getting paid one time is good, great, but creating a process where you keep getting paid regularly is really important, right? All right. So if you want to get a hold of me for any reason afterwards, or Yvette, Coach Kellan Fluckiger, and if you are following this, you know how to spell my name, Coach Kellan Fluckiger at gmail.com. Please do that. I don't have a bunch of advertisements on here because I just don't do that. But anyway, all right. So number one, a few weeks ago, we went through common myths about creatives getting paid. We busted some of those myths about selling out and about, you know, you don't need to do that and you can create art that does sell and meets a need. We talked in number 2 about finding a focus, and we went through the 5 killer entrepreneurial questions, which are: who do you serve? What do you do for them? How does it elevate, lift, bless, and change their lives? Number 4, where would you find this ideal client? And number 6, what kind of package or process would you use to sell to them? The third one was about creating value. We talked about all the different ways that you can create value, not for you, but for them. And the trap that artists get into all the time about, I'm just going to create this crap and put it up, and somebody's going to find me. And then last week, of course, we talked about how to do marketing with integrity so that you are true to yourself, so that you're not lying. People have the feeling of squirminess about marketing. We talked about all about how to get rid of that. So these 4 are up on the YouTube channel, The Execution Mentor, and I would encourage you to go back and watch them if you've missed any. So Yvette, today our topic is keep it flowing. One of the fun things I want to talk about today, but not right now, I want you to think about this. What is the weirdest way that you know that you have been paid as a creative? I don't want you to answer that right now, and I'll give you mine first at the time. But right now, I want you to give us some opening thoughts on keeping it flowing. Go ahead.
Oh, keeping it flowing. Well, in terms of what's been going on, I would say looking at when you need to adjust instead of just being stalled. Keeping it flowing, figuring out what needs to be adjusted, making the adjustment. We've been talking a lot about what might showing how you show up online or in general. So I would say, like, definitely just not being stuck, looking at where you need to make an adjustment when things start to slow down or stop altogether.
That's a perfect comment. In fact, I personally am going through that. In the last few months, I've changed some of the ways that I do posts. I've just changed. I'm not changing direction. I'm still a breakthrough coach, business acceleration, all that. But some of the things that are emphasized, and the reason I am is because I got feedback from clients that said, oh, you got to talk about that. You got to talk about that. So I thought, okay, if my clients tell me I should, then guess what? I will. All right. So point number 1, and again, this is about keeping it flowing. Point number 1 we wanted to cover today on our agenda was that creating art is a process, not an event. And anyone that does like a painting over a day, a week, a month, a year, or does some music in the studio like I do, some of the songs, I've got several that are just about finished. That'll be going up on my Amazon and iTunes distributors. It's a process, takes a while, right? It's not an event. Guess what? So is a business. So Yvette, I want you to think, and I didn't do a good job raving on Yvette today. I need to do that, even though many of you have attended or watched most of the others. She is a visual artist, does installation-based art, and has been painting for some 20 years. And I'm really sad that we're not in her house, because behind her, last time she had brand new paintings that were on the walls, and today we don't get to see brand new paintings. We just get to see the landscape streaming by. So Yvette, your first question is, how do you relate this process of business and the process of art? Art's a process, business is a process. Talk a little bit about your business and art development. Are you there?
Okay. Yeah, I am here.
Go for it.
Well, the first thing is looking at resources. In art, you look at everything as a resource. And that's the first thing, is to look at everything as a resource. When you look at it through the lens of art, you look at those things differently. And so something that may have seemed like a deficit or not have a shortage, when you change your perspective, you are able to see resources, including talents that people bring to the table, and what you may have seen as a shortage or a lacking before becomes a resource that you can make use of in a novel way to address whatever the issue or the problem is.
So I have a question. We're having a little stuck thing. So when Yvette's talking, it's showing black on my screen. I don't know if black is recording or not, but it's okay. We're just going to go with the flow. So I know that you've got this play, Women Crossings, that you've had a couple of readings on, and it's going to have another reading before you produce it. How did this change of perspective and seeing new things as resources help you move through the difficult process of creation and the giving birth of the first and second readings and stuff like that? How did that change of perspective help you maybe find some resources to keep that process flowing that otherwise might have, frightened itself out of existence?
Okay, that broke up a little bit, but I think I got most of it. The main thing was that when I started out, we were looking primarily at assets, at financial literacy in terms of looking at money as the primary asset. And through developing the piece, have come to realize there are a lot of other assets that are less tangible, that have a lot more to do with your quality of life and the impact you have on other people. And so it's become more and more about that, and looking at financial management within that sort of landscape that's really defined by these relationships to the assets themselves or the resources, and then to the people in the lives of the women.
So that's really cool. For those of you that haven't watched the earlier one, her play, Women Crossings, is about women at different stages in their lives that have experienced some trauma and struggle. And the whole point of it is to create financial literacy about how to create, manage, and, husband, no pun intended there, hoard, use, collect, wisely manage, and use assets. And she's changed from money to all the other assets that are involved. That's really a good thing. And I want to add one thing about that. When we went through those 5 points of business about finding who you actually do your art for and what it does for them, artists always want to say, well, it does whatever it does. Everybody has their own interpretation. That's true. But if you want to get paid on a regular basis, you have to understand who the likely people are. So we talked through that on another episodes. We won't rehearse that here, but that's part of this process of business, where you understand who you serve, how you serve them, as well as how to reach and then sell to them and meet a need that they are feeling. And as she changed those things in the play, it moved from management of money to management of other less obvious assets, and increased the value of the art that she had created because the focus was broadened. So let's get to point number 2, because we have 4 today. And I do want to get the next question that I ask you after this second point. So point number 2 is that business can be fun. You get to choose. And as an artist, I know sometimes I felt like, I get to create music, or I'm doing my paintings today, or I'm doing my writing and I love it. And I've written several books, and Yvette's done a whole ton of paintings, and all of you creatives have done, whatever you've done. And that's fun. Yippee. And then we think about business often. It's like, oh, business, I gotta, do some marketing and these evil words, right? And my assertion here is that business can be fun. Now, Yvette, I'm going to put you on the spot here. And ask you for ways that you have discovered in working either with me or before that, the business is fun, that it's not actually this big drudge, it's fun. Got ideas on that?
You're breaking up a little bit for me. I think I must be getting, I'm getting a very, very weak signal. So there's a little bit of a delay.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and mute you. Unmute you and talk, just interrupt me when you get a good signal. Can you do that? All right, so she's driving apparently in a place with a bad...
I totally missed what just happened. It went totally black for me.
Okay, yeah, you've got a weak, you're getting a weak signal. So when you get good signal on your phone, unmute and interrupt me. And I can't see you at all. You might want to actually disconnect and then go back to the green camera and come back in one more time. You're frozen and interrupting. So let me just answer the question while she does that. That I asked earlier, which is the weirdest way I've been paid as a creative. So as a creative, okay, she's turned the video off. Maybe that will change things. I don't know. Unmute and interrupt me if you can hear me, Yvette, and then we'll jump you back into the conversation. So the most interesting way I've been paid as a creative that I never would have thought I would have been paid as a creative is this. I had a dream one night. And that dream, one of the things, those of you that follow me know I had a 30-year career in commodities, electricity markets in California and Alberta, and spoke as a, speaker, platform speaker around the world on commodities and, competition and electricity, stuff like that. And I had a dream during the time I was in charge, the sort of electricity czar in Alberta, when I had that contract with the Queen of England. And in the dream, I saw a particular rule structure and a particular way to do something. And so going off of that dream, which you normally think of as creative, and there were colors involved and all kinds of crazy stuff, I wrote a law, which has since become the Alberta Utilities Commission. So we split the state or provincial commission that does, one does oil now and one does the regulations. And they used to be the same. And because there's so much oil and gas in Alberta, the other stuff is getting a short shrift in terms of good attention and focus. And so part of the dream that I had is actually turned into a law. It has created a commission, and it is the governing commission in Alberta for all of the regulated assets, wires, electricity, telephone, all of that sort of thing. So that's a crazy way, and I was being paid quite handsomely as a consultant to handle that, and that happened in 2000, about 10 years ago, 2006, I think. So that's the craziest way I've been paid as a creative, and was just crazy. I never would have thought that some dream that I had would have turned into a law and created money both for me and a regulatory framework. So that's the craziest way. The traditional, I'd love for any of you that are watching to put crazy ways you've been paid as comments in the stream, if you would, and I'd be happy to read those out if that turns out to be something that's fun. Okay, I don't know if we've got Yvette back or not. Yvette, are you back?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but
can you hear me?
I can hear you. So did you get an answer to the craziest way you've been paid?
Well, I traded for massage therapy, a couple of massage therapy sessions for 2 pastel drawings.
So you did some pastel drawings and you needed massage therapy, and so you traded pastel for massage therapy.
I did, and Ayurvedic was like an Ayurvedic massage therapy. What do you call it? Like body work, like body energy work for a couple of pastel drawings. Yeah.
Well, that's really cool. So that's an interesting way, and that's fantastic. So the third point I want to make today that we're going to talk about is the business, like art, is here for the long haul. So Yvette, what's the longest you've worked on a piece of art? Can't hear you. You're not.
Well, I would say Women Crossings has been. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Go for it.
Okay. Women Crossings has been in development for about a year. Well, the installation that you and I've talked about, That's been probably about 2 years trying to figure out the ins and outs of that. So that would probably be the longest.
So 2 years working on a piece of art. I suspect that that's actually not the longest. I'm guessing that I've got paintings that I've worked on longer than that, or that long. And a year, 2 years, that's not a long time to work on a piece of art. I'm sure that some of the huge installation pieces of art, like in the one of the chapels in Italy, and some of those took, of course, years to complete. And if my wife Joy were handy, she could probably quote to me the exact number of days, months, and years that things like the Sistine Chapel, required. But art is here for the long haul. And if you think about Renaissance art and paintings like that, they've been here and available for people to enjoy for hundreds of years. So creating the art is both a process, it's enjoyment and use that people will get out of your creation as a creative, is also over an extended period of time. The reason I wanted to talk about that and make a point out of that is that business is also going to be here for the long haul if you intend to get paid as a creative. And so understanding that business isn't something you go do. I'm going to go do some business right now, and then it's going to be done. If I ask you, Yvette, to teach me how to paint like you do, how long would that take before I could learn to paint in the style and manner that you do, if I could learn it at all?
Wow. I don't know. I guess it probably would depend on the person, but I think it's really hard to learn to paint like someone else, because it has to do with learning, really watching them create. I guess you really need to watch the way that they do it. I think of painters, modern artists who don't actually implement their own paintings, and names are escaping me this second, but there are a lot of painters who make a lot of money for their paintings, actually just do a sketch of an idea, or someone else presents ideas and then they approve them. And they have a team of people who actually paint them. So, wow, that's an interesting question, though, because I guess they must have figured out how to paint like someone, and he establishes that as his brand. And that's what people are paying for.
So if I was going to learn to be an artist of any kind, even if it was my own style, whether it's music or installation art or like you do, how long does somebody have to work to get to be an artist? How long does that take?
I mean, my personal feeling would be that that's really a lifelong process. I don't know that you ever reach a point where you've learned it and you're done learning. I think wouldn't you say that as a musician, you're always growing, you're always learning new things. So it's really an ongoing, as long as you're alive and creating, you're continuing to learn and figure that out.
So that's totally right. So the point here is art's here for the long haul, and so is business, or business is here for the long haul, and so is art. So as an analogy to business, what advice would you give to me as an artist about the process of learning my business, the business of having people enjoy my art? I want to get it beyond just come and sell some stuff, man, but the art of business. Then how long would that take me to learn the art of business?
Again, also going to be an ongoing process, but you really want to pay attention to what's unique and specific about your process and what it is that you do and the way that you do it. And what is it that the people that you serve really enjoy about what it is that you're doing for them. And develop that the same way that an artist develops whatever their talent is. It's that same sort of attention. I won't say perfection, but you're definitely reaching for a vision, and then I think you go beyond that.
So that's a fabulous piece of advice and thinking. And I want to repeat a couple of the things that she said, because I want you to take some notes and internalize this. She said several things. First of all, the process of learning the art of business is a developmental process over time. So you may go to a class on business, you may go get some help doing marketing, you may get a copywriter to do that. But the process of mixing business and your creativity, we're calling your creativity your art but in the broadest sense. So that is a lifelong learning process. And she gave several tips about how to do that. One of them was understand how your art affects people, understanding what they want out of your art and what moves them, why they're paying you to install, create, paint, dance, sing, do music, write stuff, whatever it is. So understand what it is exactly. A copywriter that writes copy to sell online, what it is for them is it makes money. For someone else, it may be the enjoyment of, the particular juxtaposition of colors if you've done some kind of painting, or the colors created by words, the juxtaposition of words, or the effects you do in a video or something. Whatever it is that your creative output is. So paying attention to that, how it affects those people that are buying your art or paying you to create, and then understanding that that morphs and changes over time and staying tuned into that so you can evolve your business skills, your sales skills up as you continue to evolve your art. So I thought that was, did I miss anything that you said? I sort of waxed poetic there for a sec, but did I miss anything?
No, I think that was great. That was really good.
So what else would you tell me as a fledgling business owner about developing art over time and developing my business particularly over time so that I reach more people, sell more stuff, have more fulfillment knowing that my art has mattered to somebody, those kinds of things. What else would you tell me about that?
Well, one of the things we started that I mentioned earlier was one of the things I learned from Women Crossings, which has to do with assets. And so often when people are starting something new, there's a tendency to focus on what you think you're lacking or what you think is missing, instead of looking at the assets that you do have and how you can leverage those to just get you to the next step. And that was one of the things that I was really excited. Why I was really excited about this series. When you suggested that we do this, when you invited me to join you, was I feel like this becomes like these are assets, these are resources. And so when you're starting something new, or if you're trying to figure it out and you're in the midst of it, look at what assets and what kind of resources are available to help you get to the next step. You don't have to see the end of the road. And I think so often, like when you write a piece of music, or for me, when I was writing Women Crossings, or when I'm doing a painting, I start out with an idea, but so often what I end up with is different. And some point in the middle, you feel lost. It's like, what am I doing? Where's this going? You start to feel something different maybe than what you did when you developed the plan. And looking at the resources that are available to you, not just what's missing, is what helps you get to the next step. And oftentimes that's all you have to do right now, is figure out the next step.
So again, you augmented that in a beautiful way. And it is so critical, because I get stuck. I want to make a certain amount of money in 3 months, 6 months. And if I'm focusing on money, or I'm focusing on creating a product, I got to have this done in a certain amount of time. And in the middle, I'm feeling that very lost feeling of, I started out thinking this is what I was going to teach or build or create. And halfway through this, I'm thinking, it needs to change. It needs to be something different. And then I have to go through the process of checking, will it still serve the same people? Will it serve a purpose? Do I need to change my audience? Is it a small change or a big change? And then the thing of, how would I do that? And your advice about just pay attention to the next step. What are the resources I have available? So I'll give you an example in another medium. When I'm doing something in the studio, I've been doing studio work for 35 years. I've been creating albums and everything else. So I'm middle of writing a song, and I have an idea about a sound or something I want particularly to do. I have a couple of choices. I can run out on the market and see what software is available with new sounds and new cool stuff, and spend some money and go buy some new stuff, thinking that that will be the answer. Or I can do what you said, which is explore the resources I have, because I have lots of those already, lots of colors, lots of tubes of paint. Do I need another brush? Do I need another piece of paint? Do I need another synthesizer, or another in-the-box sound, or another effect unit in order to create the intention that I'm trying to do? And those are just really practical examples, and you can get as esoteric with them as you like. But it's the same creating video. I do the same thing. Okay, I've got these effects in my palette. to do the video stuff. I've got these pictures I can use. Is there a way to use those effectively to create the art and the message that I want? Or do I really have to go somewhere, when else to find something? So I think that's a brilliant point and so critical, because it makes you more creative when you stretch what you have to meet a big need. I see you nodding furiously, so chime in here.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I forgot to unmute first. I think that that is so true. It makes you look at what you have in a different way, and not to give too much away, but something that you and I have talked about when I looked at some of the things that you had in your treasure chest. It reminds me of like when you're a little kid, when a little kid comes to your house and they play dress up. And they look through, you know, this trunk of stuff that maybe you were about to toss out. And to a kid, it's like, oh my gosh, this is like a treasure chest. And it makes you look at what you have in a different way, and you see it being used. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but I mean, like with little kids, they'll come and they find stuff that you're gonna trash, and they are like making things and they're pretending with it. And so looking at, sometimes in business, I think that's very helpful. And that was one of the things I saw when I looked at your treasure chest, was how it spoke not just to people doing I guess what we would consider like a regular business, but to creatives. And then because of your own experience as a creative, that was very much where this series, you know, the idea for this came from.
Way cool, way cool. So the last point that we have for today about keeping it flowing is don't deny your audience. And without any preamble from me, if I just said, Yvette, don't deny your audience, what comes to mind?
Some of the stuff we've talked about are just like putting myself out there more. And not to suppose that maybe I don't really, you know, maybe there's a lot about my audience that I don't yet know. And if you put yourself out there in a different way, then it's an opportunity to learn something.
So I love that. And when I put this down, I had at least two thoughts, and there's probably a lot more that I could do. But number one was what you said, which is don't deny your audience the you that you are. People like you, and they like your stuff more than you think. Sometimes marketing isn't about convincing people that have seen you that they need what you have or do, but it's about finding the right people that are moved by what you have or do. And so there are people, if you are moved and you have people that have, anybody that said that, there's going to be a group of people whose emotional context and life is moved by what you have or do. Learning to find them is the art of business. Learning to package and sell to them to meet their needs is part of the art of business. So denying your audience in the first level is denying them the opportunity to enjoy, love, participate, and be part of what you create. And that is not only the finished product, but the creative process. We're at a time right now, if you've read that book, Pendulum, where people like to know what's going on in people's lives, the proliferation of silly reality shows, or not silly if you love them, but those kinds of things let people know. It shows you people want to know what's going on, and they want to see the process, and they want to see the failures, and they want to see the success, and they want to see some of the grind and the heartache and the birthing process of this art as much of the enjoyment of the finished product, and maybe even more. So don't deny your audience by hiding till it's done, one, or by hiding at all, you know. So just don't deny your audience that way. And that's exactly what Yvette just said. The second way I'm thinking about not denying your audience is don't deny them participating in your future creations by giving you ideas and feedback and reacting. Sometimes when people say something about a song, they say something about it that I didn't think about. And I'm trying to decide if they were insulting me. You suck. Oh, no, I suck. And then I go think about, or that painting, what is that? I'm like, ooh, that's bad. And then I ask them, well, what do you think it is? Without telling them what I thought it was. And then I get ideas for future stuff. I see, Yvette, you're grinning. So tell me what you think about denying your audience participation in your future evolution.
Well, that's actually why I started doing the staged readings. And the reason I started laughing was I thought about doing one of the Q&As in New Jersey. I can't remember the fellow's name, but one of the men that was in the audience made a comment about wanting to see the women go at each other more, was how he put it. And I remembered, like, I didn't, want to say you're wrong and that's not, you don't get what the piece is about. I felt a little bit of that, but then I also thought, if I'm having an emotional reaction, I really need to think about what he's saying, because this is my audience. He was somebody who came out. That particular stage reading was in the rain at 8 or 9 at night. So this man had come out in the rain, that time of the night, to see this and to share his thoughts. And so I felt that out of respect for him, I needed to take seriously what he said. And I thought about it for months, and for about maybe 6 months, and just figured out maybe 2 weeks ago what to do with that comment.
So this is an incredible picture, because as you did that, your face went inverse like it does on a negative. I've never seen Google Hangouts do that before. So I could see your mouth moving and everything, but it was all, white where it's black and black where it's white, and the colors were all inverse and backwards like a negative. And as you were explaining the dilemma of this thought and everything else, the whole picture changed, like it was an artistic expression of something of the dilemma inside of you. So it couldn't have been more perfect. I'm losing you. The bottom of your face is, there's too much above you. So pull your camera down a little bit so I can see your lower a little bit. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Now you're in the middle. Yeah, I was losing you. It was going up and up and up. And then pretty soon I was like here, and I'm like, wait, where did that go? All right. So we're out of time. I love the fact that you guys are here, that you've taken time to listen to Creatives Getting Paid. Please go back and listen to the other ones. Common myths that we busted, finding your focus, creating value, marketing with integrity. And today was about keeping it flowing. Yvette, you have final comments you want to give to our loyal and faithful audience?
Thank you for, this gave me the motivation to do this today, and not to just not show up. So I did a blab about branding versus presence, and I feel like I showed up today. So thank you for that opportunity.
You're welcome. And I'm really grateful that we've done these 5 parts. And if there's a 6th part, we'll let you guys know. We'll advertise it in the next couple of days. Yvette and I will talk offline to see if that's what we do. Again, if you want to get a hold of me, Break the Cage Now is a hangout series that I've been doing on Saturday mornings for a long time. Like there's 100 at least episodes. So a couple of years, going way back to whenever. It's dealt with everything from, using integrity in your language to, we talked about integrity. We talked about fear, uncertainty, and procrastination, FUP, the albatross of modern business. We talked about all kinds of breakthrough things. If you want to get a hold of me, Coach Kellan Fluckiger at gmail.com. You can see how to spell my name on my page. If you want to get a hold of Yvette Dubel, please do. Look at the event page. You can see how to spell our names. We've intentionally not made this like brand intensive all over your screen, because we just did. So some of the stuff I do is like that. This is not. Love doing these 5 with you. And if we have another one, we'll let you know. In the meantime, until next time, don't hesitate to get out of your rut, move forward, do cool stuff, and break the cage. Say goodbye to our audience, Yvette.
Goodbye, everybody. Hope to see you again soon.
All right. Thanks, people. We'll see you again on another broadcast of Break the Cage Now.